Hey folks, not too long ago I looked at this OneUp Dropper Post remote and I told you that I liked it very much. But today I'm gonna take a look at the OneUp version 2 droppers. I have two of them over here with the two different actuators that came in this version 2. I'm gonna look at the difference between the two and also install them on this giant trans. I picked the OneUp because of the affordable price, good reviews, and also because I needed a short overall length for the dropper. This bike has an extremely short seat tube available to me. The box is identical between the two, and it actually shows the version 1 actuator. It's minimalistic, work less, ride more. I would love to do more of that these days. However, all the information is either here at the bottom, or you see that this is designed in Squamish, BC, so a proud Canadian company. But this stuff is manufactured in Taiwan. Down here is where you see the information. See, this is a 120 dropper post, 30.9. This is a version 2, even though it's not mentioned anywhere here. Inside the box, more recyclable cardboard, and you have the droppers and a little bag with small parts and what it looks to be probably grease. Also, made in Taiwan is written clearly over here. This version 2 of the droppers has seen a few changes. Nothing here at the top. The color is different, and this one has two surfaces, one that is grippy and you can easily unscrew it. The old one was long and smooth. You can see the travel here spelled out, the branding of OneUp components, minimum insertion point, and then as you come down to the bottom, this is where you see the two actuators. This is 2.1, this is 2.0. 2.0 very similar to 1.0, which was slightly longer. 2.1 an improvement to both of those, and what you usually find on any other dropper out there in the marketplace today. The stack height of the seat clamp is very low, which is great, and underneath you're going to have a shredder valve to adjust the pressure in your cartridge. Also here, forward facing, you have a little bit of OneUp branding and nothing else on the seat post. Version 1 and 2 of the actuator actually rely on the movement of the housing instead of the inner cable. That was something introduced by KSLev many years ago, and they regretted it rather quickly. They had a full recall on it. Version 2.1 is using the movement of the inner cable just like any other dropper, and you can buy it separately and upgrade your version 2 actuator with version 2.1. Highly recommend it. It's only 20 bucks. In the bag you have this little barrel, and also you have these 10mm spacers. They look like little brass keys that go underneath the collar here to adjust the travel of the 2.0 dropper by 10 or 20 millimeters. You have 7 of them over here, so that's enough for 20mm drop, and one extra one as a spare. These droppers are pretty light, 480 grams for the 150 in 30.9 version, 435 for this 120 in 30.9 version, again with the 2.1 actuator, and that actuator by itself, it's only 22 grams. Most importantly, the dropper remote doesn't come with it, so you have to buy it separately, but the remote plus the dropper comes up to about $250 US, so what's not to like there? So let's install the 120 onto the Giant. I'm going to reduce the travel by 10 millimeters on it, and also I'm going to show you how to replace the actuator on the 150 with the 2.1 version of it. Working on these droppers is actually very simple. You don't need that many tools either. And on this 150, I'm going to need a 17mm open wrench or an adjustable wrench to undo this. Unscrew it all the way. Once unscrewed, I push the whole shaft. Use a 2mm hex key to remove these two retaining bolts. Now you can slide the actuator right out. Grease recommended by OneUp is Slickoleum or Slick Honey. The same thing is included in the bag. I'm going to apply a tiny bit here at the very end. Their documentation talks about reusing the old bumper, but the new actuator comes with one. You see Loctite here on the threads. So all you have to do, slide it right in. I'm tightening this bolt as I'm keeping a little bit of pressure at the end. And this has to be hand tight. And all that's left to do, slide the shaft back into the tube and start this thread by hand. 14mm tiny bit, not overly tight. And here we have it. We just replaced the 2.0 actuator with the 2.1 actuator. Installing the 120, I'm not going to cover it here because I covered dropper post installation a few videos before, but I'm going to mention those in the comments. However, the first step here, it's always going to be installing your remote, obviously running the cable through the frame, measuring the length of your housing, ultimately running the inner cable and attaching it to the bottom of your dropper. The little cable barrel gets installed over here. It's at the end of the inner cable. If you don't have it or you lost it, don't worry. The dropper is going to work just with the bare cable as well. That's what OneUp confirmed. Obviously, you were going to slide that to the top, push here on the actuator on the other end, slide in your barrel and the inner cable, and this is ready to be inserted in the seat tube. Make sure you don't over tighten this clamp. And I have the cable connected to my OneUp remote right now. And this is a good time to give this a quick try. Make sure you have a little bit of play here in the remote. Depressing the remote fully extends the dropper, and you could hear that positive stop at the end of the 120 travel. To install the saddle, I used a 5mm Allen to undo this bolt. The back one is easier to work with than the front. You can then remove the whole saddle clamp assembly. You have these arrows showing you the front of the bike. And underneath you have the shredder valve to adjust the pressure inside your cartridge. 250 to 300 psi of pressure. By playing with that pressure, you increase the speed of extension or you decrease it if that's what you're after. The pressure range 250 to 300 is engraved right there. Right behind here we're going to have 8 Newton meters, which is the maximum torque recommended for these two bolts. 5mm hex key used on those bolts again. And the last thing I'm going to show you is how to use these brass spacers to reduce the travel on these droppers. It can be reduced by 10 or 20 millimeters depending on how many of these little keys you install. And in order to do that, I might need a strap wrench and you need grease, slick oleum, slick honey, strong butter, or the one provided in the box. First step is to lower the dropper midway like that. Next, try to unscrew this collar. Mine is really tight. I'm gonna have to use the strap wrench. Continue on with your hand and then lift this up a little bit. Now release the dropper, and as you do, you're gonna get access to that little white bushing. This has to be pulled up. Let me try this again. Here I go. That's the easiest way to do it. So what you see here is the top of the keys. You can see those are the long keys going all the way down here. That prevents this dropper from rotating. And this is where you're going to slide in the tiny ones that I showed you, the spacers. So there's 3 of them, 1, 2, and 1 here on the back. What I would do is apply grease first, and take your spacer and place it in that groove. Grease is going to hold it in place. Do this for all 3 positions. Then slide this white bushing back down. And push your dropper slowly. This is going to go in further down. I'm going to screw back this top collar. Hand tight, nothing else. And the job is done. But let me know if you guys have any questions about this. It's fairly simple to do. So there you have it. What do you guys think? Interested in the OneUp dropper posts? In my little experience here, this is not as smooth as a KS-Live Integra or even a Fox Transfer, but for the price and the flexibility, I think I would highly recommend it, especially if you get it with the OneUp remote, which I love so much. But that's pretty much the end of my little video here. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, keep an eye on social media. Till next time, I will see you folks, hopefully on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.